Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, now we are going to talk about a new topic, that is nanomaterial, and regarding that we are going to talk about its properties. So this nanomaterial is basically a product of the nanotechnology that we are going to talk about in our day-to-day life also, and that is what it plays a very important role, because nowadays every technology is being replaced by the nanotechnology, and that has a different kind of property, because of which it has very benefits also. So what are the nanomaterials and what are the different types of nanomaterial? Let us talk about that along with the properties of the nanomaterial. So now let us understand what does the nanomaterial means. So talking about nanomaterial, that is the materials of at least one dimension, and that is also between the range of, that is 1 nanometer to 10 raised to 2, or we could say 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer, are known as nanomaterials. And this nanomaterials are basically very minute particles, or these are the very minute materials which has a range of, that is from 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer, and because of which only we could say that there would be different property compared to that of the material which are being present in the bulk. So we are going to talk about that also, but for an example, let us understand that what are the different kinds of nanomaterial that we are going to discuss about in this lecture. So talking about the first one, that is nanolayer. So what is nanolayer? Let us understand the definition of it also. So talking about the nanolayer, that is the nanomaterial of one dimension between, that is 1 nanometer to 10 raised to 2 or 100 nanometer, is known as nanolayer. And talking about this one, because as we have got to know about the nanomaterials, they are the one which, or they are the materials that have at least one dimension. So talking about specifically about one dimension, so therefore nanolayer is basically one dimension, that is a material where we could see that also have a range of, that is from 1 nanometer to 10 raised to 2 nanometer, and that is the reason that these are called as nano layers. And now let us talk about the another one, that is the nanomaterial of two dimension between 1 nanometer to 10 to 2 nanometer is known as nanotube or nanowire. Talking about the next one, that is nanoparticles. What are nanoparticles? Let us understand that also. So nanoparticles are the nanomaterials which are of the three dimension. While talking about in the previous one, where we have got to know about the nano layer as well as the nanotube, and this is now the nanomaterial. So they were according to the one dimension, two dimension, and three dimension respectively. So therefore, this is a three dimension nanomaterial which having a range of between, that is from 1 nanometer to 10 raised to 2 nanometer, and that is known as a nanoparticle. So now let us move on with the next one, that is quantum dots. So what are quantum dots? Let us talk about that also. That is the semiconductor nanomaterial between, that is range from, that is 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer in its diameter, is known as a quantum dot. So this quantum dot is basically acting like a semiconductor, and this is also a part of the nanomaterial. So this all what we have got to know about the nanomaterials and the types of it. And now let us move on to the properties of the nanomaterial. So talking about the first property of nanomaterial, let me talk about this thing, that is nanoparticles are the one, or the nano materials are the one which has a range of, that is from 1 nanometer to 10 raised to 2 nanometers in their diameter. When it comes to whenever we consider the nanomaterial to be, that is sphere. But suppose the nanomaterials, they have a particular range of, that is, as we know, that is from 1 nanometer to 10 raised to 2 nanometer. But this small particles have the tendency to exhibit different color also. So how? Let me talk about this one. So talking about the first one, that is the nanomaterial exhibit different colors depending upon their size. Yes. For example, if you talk about the that is nanomaterial, for example, if we understand that is the nanomaterial that is of for gold and a bulk of gold, that is what we know. So we have understood clearly that the bulk gold is yellow in color. But talking about the nanoparticle of the gold, so the nanoparticle of gold are basically red in color. Yes, so this is the size. Because of the size, the color also changes, and that is all dependent on the size. And this is all of what we are going to talk about in the next point also, because there are various materials that are of different ranges, and that different range of the that is size of the nanomaterial, they can give different colors. So talking about the next one, that is I'm going to talk about, that is. That is, nanomaterial when irradiated with UV light, or that is ultraviolet light, while emitting, they give visible light. Yes, this depends on the size also. For example, if a particular nanomaterial that is of a different range, and suppose if we are hitting it with the UV light, so the more the size of the nanoparticle, the more will be its that is wavelength. For example, if I am hitting a particular nanomaterial with a UV light, so if the size of that is more, then the first thing that we could get is we could get a higher wavelength, and that is, for example, if we are talking about in Vibgyor, so Vibgyor is the one that we know. So in that case, we see the red one. Red is the one which has higher wavelength, or which has larger wavelength, and that is what the larger particle will try to emit the higher wavelength, and that is the red wavelength. And we are talking about the smaller that is particle that will emit that is violet wavelength, or the color which having a wavelength which is related to the violet color. So that is what this second point I was talking about. And now let us move on to the third point, that is. And the third point is, that is the melting point of the nano material is lower than that of the melting point of the bulk. For example, if we understand that there's a particle which has been in a bulk that is been surrounded by equally, it has been surrounded by the various particles around it, and that's the reason that the interacting force between the particle with that of the other particle is more, and that's the reason that the melting point is also more. But when we are talking about the nanomaterial, when we are talking about the nanomaterial, we could understand that particle is not basically surrounded by every nanoparticle with a proper size. So that is the reason that they are basically surrounded with such molecules which are not being able to increase the melting point, and hence the interactive force between these nanoparticles are not much like that of a bulk, and that's the reason that the melting point of the nanomaterial is lower than that of the melting point of its bulk. So this is what the third point is, and let us move on to the next point. And the last point is basically the reactivity of the and the last point is basically the reactivity of the nanomaterial is more than that of the bulk material because of the size. We know that the nanomaterials are of the size that is from 1 nanometer to 10 raised to 2 nanometer, and because of this small that is size of it, so they are very much capable of reacting, and they are very much capable of basically depositing on the surface of the substrate and all. And that's the reason that the reactivity of this kind of particles are basically more compared to that of the bulk material. So these were the 4 points or the 4 properties that I have discussed. And this is what we have got to know about the nanomaterials. So that is, friends, that is what I want to talk about. So thank you, friends, for watching this video. I hope you have understood this video very clearly, and you have got to know the different types of the nanomaterial along with that of the properties of the nanomaterial. So that's it, and I hope you'll share this video with the friends, and just don't forget to subscribe to Ekeeda channel. Thank you so much.